Hi again and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be focusing on the fours of all suits and the Emperor. So like we've been covering for the minor arcana, each of the four of any suit is related to one of the cards from the major arcana. So in this case for the fours, we have the Emperor as our major arcana card. Here is the Four of Pentacles, Four of Swords, Four of Wands, and Four of Cups. So now let's take a look again at the Emperor so that it can help us derive some of the symbolism and meanings from the rest of the cards. So the Emperor in the major arcana comes immediately after the Empress, and she represents the concept of physical manifestation, actions, specific deeds that line up with your inner thought process to help you manifest the reality that you are looking to create. So basically the idea is that after you've done this manifestation, the Emperor represents the foundation in which you have created this life that you have been working to create. You have what looks like an older male, likely an emperor, as explained, but he's sitting there with his staff and with his golden orb, his crown, and he's sitting on a very, I wanted to say strict for some reason, but that's not the word I want. I want firm, grounded, it looks like it's made out of stone, seat here, and you can see that he's got what looks like the symbolism for the Aries zodiac on the card, or actually Taurus would make more sense for this card. I'll be doing a video later on how we can understand tarot in relationship to astrology. What I've been learning myself actually lately is that tarot follows like very well a lot of the time different astrological events like on a day-to-day basis. So that's, wait for that for another video. But anyway, back to the Emperor. He basically represents foundation, stability, structure, sometimes like rules to follow by. Like it's not necessarily like feeling strict, even though it can mean that sometimes, but it basically is like the stability that's needed to provide a sense of relaxation in people. So that's the Emperor. And so now let's take a look at the Four of Pentacles. So again, Pentacles represent physical means, money, trade work, like physical labor, that kind of a thing. So looking at the picture that we see here, we have a male figure. He looks like he could be a king as well, with his crown on top of his head, with robes. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4 pentacles, but he seems to be like hogging them almost, or clinging to them a little too closely and not being very willing to share his belongings with other people. And then you can also see a kingdom behind him that seems to be doing well for the most part, but maybe not. Maybe that what this card is trying to tell us then at this point is that when you hold on to something too tightly, it's difficult for you to be able to progress into the next phase of your life. Sure, you might feel comfortable right now in this moment, but there could be opportunity for further growth for you later on that is necessary, because if you get too comfortable in a position, then later on down the road, you'll either start to regret, staying there for so long, or you'll begin to feel like you're not getting what you wanted, what you originally thought that you would get out of a situation. So it's stagnation, and too much comfort, not enough discomfort is the Four of Pentacles. So now let's look at the Four of Swords. Okay, so swords energy 1, 2, 3, 4. Swords energy again represents intellectual thinking, education, higher education, anxiety, being in your head. It's the air sign, so anything involving the logical brain, the ego. And in this picture, we have what looks like a coffin, a very nice coffin. Looks like it could be made out of gold. And it looks like the structure of a knight who is resting on, you know, the top of the coffin lid. And then he likely is in a church based off of the stained glass in the background. With one sword on the coffin and then another 3 resting what looks like on top of his third eye, his heart chakra, and then his solar plexus chakra. So the 4 of Swords represents well-needed rest. Usually it's involved in a scenario where you've basically thought yourself into or worried yourself into exhaustion. And when this card comes up, it's a reminder that you need to take a break. It's a reminder that maybe it's taking a break from your head and focusing your energy elsewhere, or it could mean literally physically taking a break and having a rest. It could be in relationship to, you know, work or school or a relationship. But yes, this typically represents rest and relaxation. Sometimes like it's a reminder that you need to do it, or it can be a reminder that maybe you've been doing it for too long. Again, like I've said in previous videos, this can really depend on the context of the reading, but I think you get the idea. So now the next card is the 4 of Wands. So you can see the 4 wands in the front, and they seem to be hosting, you know, looks like grapes, and it's creating basically a canopy over 2 people with a really beautiful house in the background. And the 4 of Wands represents success in the idea of like creating a home, creating community, creating shelter, creating a safe space, basically. But of course, because we have the Wands energy, which represents, you know, fire energy, so communication, adventure, physical movement, like travel, this isn't going to be a permanent situation. There's going to be change no matter what. More specifically than if you were to have like a situation with the Pentacles. This is like getting stuck in quicksand, whereas this is like taking a rest at a rest stop or something if you live in an RV, something along those lines, where, you know, like it's a good place to stay for the time being and it's a good place for growth, but it's not the end of your chapter and you'll continue moving on in the future. So now the final card is the 4 of Cups. And the 4 of Cups shows a man sitting on a tree with looking specifically at these 3 cups here, but then very similar to the images that we saw in the Aces, actually, right? We saw the hand with the floating cloud offering a cup to the man, and he's clearly paying no attention to it whatsoever. This could be interpreted a number of different ways. My basic interpretation of this card is that basically this man is focusing on the things that aren't bringing him happiness, and he's not focusing on the things that can. Like, this could even potentially mean like a new relationship is on the horizon for him, but he's not even giving it a single thought because he's so focused maybe on what has hurt him in the past that it's like inconceivable to him that he has the capability of moving on to something much better than what he has experienced in this past relationship or with this other person. So that's a really good way to look at it. It can also represent boredom, like being discontent with like what you have and not really taking much interest in trying to do anything about like finding something new, something that would work better for you. But again, like the same idea, like focusing on like not not seeing what's right in front of you kind of idea. Or what's the phrase? I guess that's different. I was going to say, like if you were to lose something and then you found it under your nose, but that might be a little bit different to the situation. But yeah, that's the Four of Cups. And that basically concludes the fours of the Minor Arcana and their relationship with the Emperor. So that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, we will be talking about the fives and the Hierophant. Thanks.